Hey guys, I'm back, and today I have a video that a lot of you have been asking for. It is my painting supplies and my customizing supplies video. So I've been mentioning this a lot in my past couple of videos, so I'm finally recording the actual video of it. And in this video I'm going to show you all the paints I use, the sculpting material I use, and where you can get it, if I know where you can get it. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So first off, I'll start with the most asked question: what kind of paint do I use? So I use 4 types of paint, all acrylic but one. So first I'll start with the simplest. This is the one type of Craftsmart paint that I use. It is Craftsmart Bright Gold Metallic Paint. This was recommended to me by Michael MGF. I asked him what gold paint he used, and this is what he told me. And I just started using this paint, and the most recent use I have on it is this guy right here that I filmed a video on. So these little stars and his badge and his little name tag, that was paint in his belt buckle. That was painted with this gold. So it works really well. So I like this gold paint. So that's the gold paint that I use. Well, one of the gold paints that I use. Other paint that I use is Falk Art, but I only use Falk Art anymore for these 2 metallic paints. And this is silver, sterling silver, and gunmetal gray Falk Art metallic paints. So these are the 2 metallic paints that I use from Falk Art. Then the other paint that I use, well, hold on, before I move on, so if you want to see what that metallic paint looks like, the gunmetal paint right here, this gunmetal paint is what I use to paint my Fallout armor. So if you watch my video on that, you can see what that looks like. Next, I use Apple Barrel, and Apple Barrel is the paint that I use mostly. So for example, if I bring Chief Bogo back in, this blue color is the same color that's right here, this Apple Barrel, this real blue gloss. I'm not going to read everything. You can look at it and get the one that looks like that. So I get this at Walmart, and I get the Falk Art paint at Walmart. Craftsmart paint, the only place I've seen to buy it is at Michael's craft store. And then also, people always ask me what flesh paint I use. Well, it's also Falk Art, but it's not gloss. They don't sell this paint in gloss, which I don't like. It's Apple Barrel Sun-Kissed Peach. This is the skin color I use. It matches Legos fairly well, so I use it quite often. Another example I use Apple Barrel a lot is for dark tan. I use khaki. My Rick Grimes figure is if I think about a figure I used this recently, this is it. So I've moved Bogo out the way. Now sometimes I use these as well. So these are paint pens, but I don't use them as a pen. I use them to get the paint out of them. So these are Painter's brand. I get these at Walmart. This is the black one. And basically what I do is I take the cap off, and I'm just going to do this on my table. I just push it down like that. And eventually, you can see right there, a little puddle of paint comes up. And then that's what I dip my toothpick or my brush into. I'm just going to wipe that off the best I can, because don't want that on there no more. So yeah, that's how I use these paint pens, and I use paint out of them. So I use black a lot. This black paint out of this paint pen I use on almost every custom figure. I used to use the silver and gold as well from these paint pens. I tend to not use them anymore because for some reason the silver and gold in these paint pens likes to flake off easily, so I do not recommend using these, but I used to use them. And then I also use these paint pens to mix colors a lot. For example, I used the brown and the yellow to mix this color that I used for my Rorschach on his coat and his shoes and his hat and all. And then also, sometimes I just use the color straight out the bottle. For example, the red one I used for this Superman a lot, for his tights and his boots and his S, and then a second coat on his... For the main cape I used Apple Barrel, and then the second coat I used this. So, I use these paint pens a lot. I wouldn't really recommend them. As far as I know, I'm one of the only people that use these, or might be the only, if you use them, good for you. I don't really like recommending them because I don't feel like they're good permanent paint, but I use them in a way that I feel like they work well because I don't handle my figures all that much. Once I make them, they're on display, so I'm not really touching them very often. So I would not recommend those paints if you plan on using your figures a lot and moving them. So now, that's it for the paint. Now let's talk about the second most asked question. What kind of stuff do you use to sculpt with? I use this right here. This is green stuff. So it comes in packs like this. this is actually 2 tubes of it. One tube will look like this. It's half green, half blue. What you do is you cut a section of equal amounts of each and you mix them together. Now I will leave a link to this eBay store in the description. This is where I buy my green stuff. I will link this in the description below. This is where I buy it. The eBay page that I buy it from. But yeah, green stuff, you mix the two together, you use it, and after about 5 or 6 hours it starts to harden, and you can usually start to work with it after then, but they recommend you wait about 24 hours to really get it to a good consistency. So now, that's what I sculpt and paint with, the paints I use. So now I'll go to supplies. So brushes, I rarely use brushes, but when I do, I just use these cheap Walmart brushes. I got these at Walmart for like $3 or $4 in like a big pack. So yeah, nothing special with brushes. I don't do a lot with them. Now electrical tape, I use a lot. This electrical tape, you can get it almost anywhere, Lowe's, Walmart, Home Depot, but I'm not sure where I got this, probably Walmart. But I do know that I also use colored electrical tape sometimes for stuff if it needs to be, like I don't have an example with me right now, but like, oh, yes I do. So Superman's boots, I actually use this red electrical tape to make them so painting it would be easier. But, so yeah, I have multicolored, I use white a lot, but I mostly use the black one. But yeah, I do use electrical tape. And then glue, I use glue a lot too. This is the kind of glue I use. It is Loctite Super Glue Professional Liquid. It dry, if I move it back, you can see what kind of nozzle it has. Loctite is very good. It bonds very well. The only thing is, you got to be careful. If you glue your fingers together, they're not coming apart. This stuff is very strong. You got to be careful when using it, and it dries fast. So if you use this, be careful. And then also, sometimes I use fabric on figures. For example, oh, I dropped him. If I have Kylo Ren here and my Governor, you can see Governor has a nice trench coat, and Kylo Ren has a hood, a scarf, a waist cape, 2 little back capes, and there's fabric on his torso underneath the belt. And then, so all that fabric was made using black fabric. Now I don't have a black one right here, but I do have this. This is a Lego pirate ship sail, and I always mention this. So I just use these because they have a lot of fabric on them. It's made from like the same material that Lego capes are made from, like the old style capes. This is a red one. I use these a lot too, but I also have a bunch of solid black ones that I use even more. So that's where like all the fabric on Kylo Ren came from, was a black one of these. So yeah. And then the final thing I have that I customize with are just toothpicks. So these are the kind I use, just great value toothpicks from Walmart. And I just take them, and I have them like this. And hopefully this one will cooperate with me. So it kind of did. So I break them in half, and you can see it kind of split. And where it split is like, this is what I used to paint with, this very thin part that just snapped off. So I would dip that into the paint and then paint the lines with that. Sometimes I use just a standard toothpick, but like most of the time I end up breaking them in half and using that. So that is about it. That is what I use to customize. I've shown you every bit of paint that I use. I've shown you the glue I've used. I've showed you the electrical tape that I use, the brushes I use, the paint pens. That's really all I can do. Green, again, I will link to where I buy my green stuff, my sculpting material below. But that's about it, guys. So if you like the video, let me know. If you have any questions that weren't answered in this video and they aren't repetitive, or if you have a question that for sure wasn't answered in this video, ask in the comments below. If I see that you're asking a question that I stated in this video, I'm not going to answer you. But I will answer any questions that I did not state in this video if I can. So thanks for watching. I hope this video helps. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, favorite, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video.